slouch either. Like, I don't know how to sit.
Very, very casual.
Just, okay.
I'll just talk to that once.
Okay. I don't know how to, like, where to put my...
Welcome to In the Zone. My name is Craig Zimmerman, the same name they put on the screen there, they tell me, and this is number 54, and I am with our local high school teacher, Laurie Gardner. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I told you this would be easy. It would be just a conversation, and we're not, and so far, I've done 53 of them, and we've not had to edit. We've not had to get anybody that wasn't too nervous, so it's all easy.
Okay,
so,
great.
And as my funniest one probably was Larry Rombach, and everybody knows Larry because he's been around forever. And Larry made me show him the questions the day before.
Oh.
And I said to Larry, these questions you can't get them wrong.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
He was all nervous.
Uh-huh.
And it was funny with Larry because, here's a guy that taught for 40 years, was in front of football players, track people, but we made it good for Larry.
Yes.
So we know that you were born and raised locally, but just give us a little background.
So I was born and raised in Marine City, and I went through Marine City High School. I graduated in 1993, and when I graduated in 93, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. Okay. I wasn't sure which type of teacher yet or where I would end up, but it all worked out, and I'm back at home at Marine City High School, and I love it so much.
That's cool.
Yes.
What's funny is like when people say certain things, there's certain things that you have visions of what's going on, and then I think of, yeah, you grew up on this stereotypical beautiful spot of a neighborhood where you knew all your neighbors, because I knew your neighbors, and on Vista Bell, and Mrs. Berman was down the street, and all these people, and it's like, oh, and nowadays you go through there and you go, oh, that was so-and-so's house, and you still call by the name that the original owner had.
Oh, right. I still will do that occasionally, drive down Vista Bell, and I'll show my girls where I grew up, and it's fun to see how the houses have changed.
Yeah. I was talking to Mr. Smith, R.J. Smith here about a month ago, and I said to Mr. Smith, I said, I don't feel that old, but I can remember myself and Craig cutting down the fruit trees when that subdivision was built. So
right.
And then I also talked to Jerry Fournier, who was working with R.J., and Jerry sort of said, well, yeah, what year was that? And I said, I think it was 77 or 8. So.
It was, because I moved there when I was 3, so it was about 78.
Yeah, so it's like, you can't remember what you had for lunch today or yesterday, but you can remember back to then.
Exactly,
so
that's how it works.
And I remember cutting wood there, and I'm not a lumberman at all, but I remember it being apple wood, and then it was apple because that one house in the corner had an orchard.
Yes.
Yeah. So crazy. All these, So your mother, father, and siblings, give us a little background.
So my mom and dad, Bob and Marcia Langtree, they were not from the area, but my dad's business moved them to Marine City, and it used to be a reef baker, Reef Gear on River Road there. And then I have a little brother, Tom. He's 46 now. He just turned 46, and he's mentally handicapped. Yeah. So he didn't go through the traditional schools like we all have, but he has really taught me a lot lot people with disabilities and how to treat people, given me empathy. Yes.
Sure.
So, he gets on my nerves a lot, but
Tommy.
he's my brother.
Right.
But I love him, and he was put into my life for a reason.
Yes, and Tommy's sort of the eternal Lions fan.
Oh, yes.
The eternal Michigan fan.
Yes.
And the Mariner football fan. So whenever I talk to him, I run into him at a restaurant, I say, Tommy, are you more of a Marine City Mariner fan, or are you more of a Lion fan?
What does he say?
And he usually says Mariners. I hope so. So, and I know, he was there for all the playoff games.
Always.
So, yeah.
He has a zillion hats of all those, sweatshirts, and so that's kind of his thing. When you do run into him, he'll probably ask where your hat is or something like that. Yeah. But
So you graduated in '93 from Marine City High, and you had teachers that there's probably nobody left then when you were there, or is there anybody?
Paul Dimmer.
Okay.
He is still there. He had just started recently when I was, I think, in 10th or 11th grade. But
Mr. Babowski was there for the longest time, right?
Glodich.
Yeah.
Pat Bebuck was there when I started. Sharon Cho, a lot of names. So it was really great to get back into Marine City High School because I knew a lot of the people and.
Yeah.
And what I really love now too is coming up, I have students that are my friends' kids, and I
Right.
get to know them
Yes.
on a different level because, I spend so much time with them each day.
Sure.
And sometimes I have them 2 or 3 hours out of the day with the different classes I teach. So
Right.
I really get to know them, and
And
it's
you,
awesome.
And you teach?
I teach business and financial management, which is a
Okay.
personal finance course.
Okay. And we talked about that before we started, but that is now going to be a prerequisite to graduate.
Yes, last year legislation passed a law that students that will be freshmen this coming fall will have to have a 1-semester course of personal finance.
Which is a good thing.
It is a good
Yeah,
thing.
Very good.
Credit, investing, taxes, insurance. I mean, there's so much out there. Every student knows how they will use what they've learned in my class
Sure.
when they leave.
Sure.
Or now,
Yep.
so.
And you also run the school store?
No, that was, that kind of went by the wayside during
Okay.
COVID and
Okay.
a couple years before that. But next year, when the school's remodeled, I'm going to have a new classroom
Okay.
and a new school store.
Okay.
So I'm really, really excited about that because I have a lot of great ideas of things that the kids can do in the store
Sure.
and collaborating with other schools. And it's going to be a good venture, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
I've never asked this question of a teacher, but so with a personal finance class, who picks the curriculum? Do you pick it?
We go with the Jumpstart standards. It's a national Jumpstart coalition, and they have the standards for personal finance, and that's what we use.
Is
And-
it a specific, maybe you use textbooks, maybe you don't anymore.
No,
Okay.
we don't use textbooks.
Right.
In fact, there's a great organization that Amanda Voles and I work with. She teaches at St. Clair High School, and it's Next Gen Personal Finance.
Okay.
And they offer amazing free curriculum for every subject that we teach with varieties of activities, videos, projects, tests.
Okay.
So that's who we use for our, mostly for our material in class.
So now I'll call it an electronic textbook because that's sort of what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're now in end of May, so we're talking about end of school year. Will that curriculum change from, say, this year to this fall when you start a new class?
No,
Okay.
no, it'll be the same.
Okay.
We have, the units that we do each year, and the one thing that does change is I like to switch things up a little bit, try new things, innovate a little bit, and each year I might find something that didn't work very well, so I redo it or, just try something new. So each year does not look the same, year after
Okay.
year at all. I mean, as far as the topics and the units, yes, but the things I do
Okay.
to get the students to learn the material, that changes. So
Now, the finance class is something that every human should have and can use, obviously.
I agree, yes.
Do you find that the kids are more engaged in that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, especially when I get to investing. The kids love investing, and they'll come into my classroom with their Robinhood app,
Okay.
and sometimes in class they're even like, "Oh my gosh, it just went up," or so they get really excited about
Okay.
it because it's so real world, and
Okay.
they know that they're going to have to learn how to manage their finances.
With 401ks and IRA. You talked about 401ks,
Yep.
IRAs? Okay.
Yes, yep.
Compounding interest? Okay.
Yep.
Or I'm guessing that to some extent talking about interest and car loans?
Yes, oh, absolutely. We
Okay.
teach about car loans, mortgages, everything that deals with what we have to as adults.
Right. Now, in a class like that, would it get to the point of actually assigning, say, percentages, like say a mortgage company says your mortgage should be no more than X% of your income?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And transportation costs,
Okay.
same kind of thing.
Okay. And so they're tested on that?
Yep.
And so that a kid with good memory should be able to memorize some of that stuff.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a unit test at the end of each unit, as well as projects. Some
Okay.
students are not always good test takers,
Right.
so I think it's important to have a variety of different activities for their final grade.
Okay. And what about the business class? Tell us a little bit about what you cover in a business class.
So things have been a little bit different the last few years, but we're getting back to, after COVID now. But we cover everything that relates to business, whether it's business ethics, target market, advertising, social media marketing, management.
Well, let's talk about this because this is sort of a new thing. When I say new now versus 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I brought this subject up at a discussion we had a couple weeks ago with I auctioned your father's car off.
Yes, I remember.
Online,
Yes.
right? And we were in front of a group, and I said, and this is a prime example of social media. I said to this group, I said, how many of you folks in the last couple of years have sold your car by putting an ad in the Times Herald or the Detroit News in the last couple of years?
Right.
Nobody. Raised. Okay? That was the way it was done 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yes, you'd go to look for a car in the paper.
Right.
Circle the ones you wanted.
But that's not the way we do it anymore.
Not at
it's just
all.
not. So you take, it's just like advertising. It's like, you know, hey, as sad as it may be, the Times Herald today isn't what it used to be. And it's just the way things have changed.
It's changed.
It's not their fault, it's just technology changes things.
Technology and innovation.
So Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, there's a couple more I'm sure, they have changed the way things are transmitted and done. I mean, you can put products on all of those.
Yes. Yes.
And market them.
And then people share and repost and
Right.
retweet.
So tell me about what you talk about on those platforms.
So with social media marketing, it kind of depends on what we would be doing, but we haven't got too much in tune to the kids actually posting things on those, because a lot of the kids don't always have a Facebook account.
Sure.
Or they might not have a TikTok or a Twitter.
Well,
so we talk about it, but...
And I've come to learn, just by things happening, Facebook is for I'll call it our generation, but our kids don't want it anymore. The kids, you know, Facebook started out as, you know, the kids did it, and then the parents started doing it, and the grandparents. Now the kids sort of want nothing to do with it.
Right,
So
exactly.
They want to do TikTok, and they want to do Instagram.
And that's one thing that's important, is for the students to have some ownership in their learning. A couple years ago, we had some of my business students run the Instagram for sports at Marine City High School.
Sure.
And then that kind of went away, you know, with everything, the COVID and everything. But now, next year, I want to bring that back.
Right.
And somebody that would enjoy posting on Instagram for the sports for Marine City High School, that's who I would choose to do that, because it's something they like. It's something they can still learn from. They can teach others. So there's a lot of different things that can be done with social media.
This, like, give you an example, this group that I'm involved with this Haggerty online auction. There's a couple people that are like really into Instagram. Now the people that are in their 60s don't do it much, right?
Exactly.
The people in their 40s and 30s, that's what they do.
Right.
But it's interesting to find that, like Instagram, I'm sure there's some people that are watching this that go, I've heard of Instagram, but I haven't really used it, right? But it's amazing to see that when people follow this stuff, how many people. I was with a guy in Daytona for a 24-hour Daytona race, and this guy was heavy into Instagram. We couldn't walk 20 feet without somebody running into him and say, hi Ray, I follow you on Instagram.
Right.
And so this guy is what you would call, to some degree, he's an influencer in this product. So what's interesting is that, and what I try to do with this program is just have people maybe learn something, right? So this Instagram platform is something where you take a picture or a video and you post it on Instagram.
Right.
It might be something you're selling. It might be something you're associated with.
Something you're doing, a project. It could be anything. Someplace you're traveling to.
Right. And so there's actually people that make a living being promoters of this stuff, right?
Yes.
Now, whether you agree or disagree with the concept, it is real.
It is real.
And it's out there. I guess one name I'll bring up, and I'm not a huge follower or huge fan, but the Kardashians.
Yes, I don't really know too much about them at all, but I hear of them. I know their name, of course, yes.
These people make crazy money by just being media influencers on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes, or by wearing a certain hat, or eating a certain kind of chip, or something like that, and then it's advertising.
So like, for example, in that, somebody comes out with a new potato chip, and in the old days you had to market this product. Well, nowadays it's all about the name. So somebody takes a picture of you with a hat on, and 10 people see it, 100 people see it, 1,000 people see it. So that's how they market products nowadays.
Yeah. And the power of it all being shared, and people reposting, and.
And if you look, it's powerful. It is powerful. And if you look at it too, it's totally different how we consume even news or information than,
It is.
than 20 or 30 years ago.
Absolutely. Not reading out of a newspaper so much anymore. I mean, that's where I get most of my news is Facebook or, other, social media websites. And
I laughed at one of my brothers the other day. He came over to my shop, and I said, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to get a paper."
yeah.
And I said, what do you mean you're going to get a paper? I said, and hey, to each their own, right?
Right.
But I said, you can read it right on your tablet, your phone, whatever. I like reading it. Okay.
Yeah.
There's still that, but they don't.
And that's okay too.
Right, that's okay.
I like that, yes.
They don't home deliver anymore.
No.
Which I learned.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways to get information. Even like television. We don't consume television the same way we did 30 years ago.
No,
right?
no.
I actually found something interesting the other day. They were talking about WJR radio in Detroit. Now, most people know what WJR is. Whether they listen or don't listen is not important. But they said the audience 20 years ago was about 10 times larger than what it is today. Now, and most of that has to do with because of the way we consume things and the iPhone.
And we can stream things anywhere we want to. We
Right.
don't have to be in a car to be listening
Right.
or listening at home on the radio. We have it, in our
Right.
pockets, essentially.
And you can listen to it. And you come in here, you
Yep.
click pause, you do your thing, you go out and you start it up again.
Same with videos. I
Right.
mean, we can watch videos anywhere you want to, or movies anywhere you want to
Right.
now.
So with that business class and talking about, say, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all that, so you will use examples in kids to do programs and different things of?
Yes. Or another example too, like even though they don't maybe have a LinkedIn account, I have them create a LinkedIn profile for themselves
Yep.
or a celebrity just to get them familiar with those
Sure.
platforms that they can use because there is so much out there. It just kind of depends on what we're working on and whether social media fits in with that. But a lot of times social media fits in with most everything.
Sure.
So-
Yeah, it's just ingrained in what we do today.
Yep.
The other thing is, realistically, when you look at somebody goes somewhere, if you watch somebody for an hour, chances are they're going to touch your phone.
Yes. That's another thing with these kids today in class. This just happened though. I was trying to show them something I was designing on my phone, and my students asked me to turn the brightness up. And I went to go into my settings. They're like, Miss G, just pull down and do the bright. And I'm like, I forgot about that. Like
Right.
they teach us stuff too
Right.
because they know so much about
Well,
technology and.
You could just about hand a phone to a 6-year-old or
Yes.
an 8-year-old, and they can show us something we don't know.
So next year, I have some visions for next year I would like to tap into, and student voice and driven by students, like project-based
Sure,
learning.
sure.
I have a vision of perhaps even starting a nonprofit with my business classes, and I'm very excited about it. So,
I could almost see you doing 2 or 3 scenarios in a given event.
yes,
Like take for, because I'm involved in football, okay? During COVID, we broadcast them live. Now, we can't do that now, but we can do them at midnight, sure.
Right.
But what's to stop the business teacher from saying, Joanne, or whatever your name is, you're going to do a TikTok video, take a video. I don't even know how
Yeah.
long a TikTok video is.
yeah, they could be 15 seconds, 8 seconds, 4 seconds. They get to choose.
So they could take that, they could put it on Instagram, they could put it on TikTok, and then obviously as a class project you can grade that or talk
Right.
about it in class, right?
Like we could have a, Marine City High School sports TikTok.
Sure.
And somebody that really likes and enjoys doing that can do that as part of her assignments.
Sure.
And it's real world, and it ends up where people see it.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a difference when it's real world. And
Oh, yeah.
and they know that what they're doing is making a difference because people are seeing their final product.
Right.
So
Well, cripe, I think about it and I think, well, why couldn't you send a student to every event?
Yes.
And say, okay, you're going to go to softball, you're going to go to baseball, so-and-so's going to go to a track event. And so at the end of the day, for tomorrow's class, you might have 6 or 8 things
Yes.
that you push out.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Another thing I like to do in my Business 2 classes is have kids job shadow with local businesses. And again, it hasn't been done in a few years, but next year that's going to be coming back. So I will assign kids to go with groups of 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 students, and they will go around and spend an hour of time just kind of getting to know about the banking industry, about the tax industry, the insurance industry. ML Chartier, they were one that helped me out one year. So, and the kids really like that because it gets them out.
It's real world stuff.
Yes, and it gets them networking with people. I've had students that have gotten jobs actually by doing that. Because maybe they went to a bank and it worked out really well and they loved what they saw and they got them interested and then they went into banking. So
well, especially if you go to a multifaceted business like Chartier's, where there might be dispatch going on, there's accounting going on, there's truck drivers going on, there's mechanics. I mean,
there's so many different areas.
Yeah.
And kids are, some kids are not college bound, and but that's the perfect opportunity for them to go and visit those kinds of places. And that's where they're going to excel in life after they graduate. So I like kind of opening up that door for them. Because otherwise they wouldn't just go into ML Chartier and take a look around.
And they're always looking for good people. So okay.
So
Very interesting. So where did you go to college?
I went to Central Michigan University.
You're my second Chippewa today.
Yes, fire up chips. Yes, I got my degree in business education and then my minor is in health education, so I can also teach health. And then I have my master's degree from Walden University in teacher leadership.
Okay. And so when in that college era did you decide I want to be a teacher?
Well, this is kind of funny, actually. I have a prom video from 1993, and I told Penny Berman, because she was interviewing us about what we were going to do, and I said, I'm going to go to Central to be a teacher. And I ended up doing that, and then ended up being at Marine City High School. But it took me a little while. I was a travel agent for a little bit because I love to travel, and that was great, and I still love the travel industry. But I needed something more, financially stable and something I could support myself with. So so then I went back to school and I started at SC4 and then Central and I can tell you're involved with the kids and you like dealing with kids. I love it. Yes, I love creating relationships with the kids and being there for them if they need me, helping them. Just last week I had a student that really needed help on a resume, and he was a 10th grader, so we haven't gotten quite to that yet. So he came in at seminar and I helped him with his resume, and he was so proud of how it turned out. And it was just really nice to see the smile on his face, like, look what I just produced. So it's and it's just relationships, and gives them some practice just talking to adults even one-on-one and working on projects. Now, is graduation time as a teacher a happy time or a sad time? It's bittersweet. It is so bittersweet because some kids I have had for 3 or 4 years in a row, especially if I have a 9th grade health class. So I've had a few kids 4 years in a row, and when they leave, it's like I cry. Or I always say I'm not going to cry, but even Friday at school, they had the senior walkthrough, and you see a few of them, and it's like you cry. You can't help it, What was your first year at Marine City High? Let's see. So I was first hired at St. Clair High School in 2007. And then, so my first year at Marine City would have been 2011 because I got transferred. So you're 12 years in, so you've seen a lot of kids, pass through. And I'm sure you've seen a couple come back, many years later. And then the siblings come through. I was just going to ask you, do you have any children of a student yet? Not yet. Not quite yet, but it will happen soon, I know. And then I'm going to be like, oh, it might be time to retire. But, so it's good, though. It's really good. I love it. Well, it's also probably very self-rewarding in the sense that you're living in the community, you grew up in the community, so you know a lot of people. I know we talked before the camera started rolling, because I find it interesting in that a lot of people of the era of, say, in the 90s to 2000s, a lot of them moved away, but a lot of the names you mentioned are still around. There's still quite a few of your classmates that are around, and so you mentioned you've taught their kids. Yes, and I absolutely love that small town pride, that connection, the community. I love it so much. And I mean, I like to go and see the world, but I always like to come back to Marine City because it's fun to go to the grocery store and see people or former students that you run into that are 35 now, that kind of, it's like, whoa. But so it's really just a good spot. I mean, teaching can definitely be stressful, and it's a lot to, handle at times, and things that they don't teach you in college that you learn. But overall, it's been so rewarding. Good. Now, are your girls going to take
your class, I'm just saying, not you, but your
Right.
class at St. Clair High?
I hope so. They better.
Okay.
Yes, they're excited because my daughter's gonna be a freshman at St. Clair High School next year, so
Okay.
she's excited to start taking business classes, and they hear me talk about what I do.
Right.
And but it'll be kind of different because they'll be at a different school.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I know who their teachers will be,
Right.
and yeah, so it's
Okay.
good.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
I think it was painless, and I think it was better than probably what you
Yeah.
thought. Right?
Easy,
Okay.
easy,
So if
yes.
you have any fellow teachers you think I haven't gotten to yet, write their number down and let me
Okay.
know.
Okay.
The number will be up on the screen, 586-707-5811. We thank everybody for watching. If you know of somebody that you think would be interesting, we always like to learn something more about the good people in the community, so thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We're good.
Wow. Did I do okay?
Yeah, perfect.